When my dad passed away, he took with him more than just memories. As the coffin was lowered into the ground, my stepmother Christina was dabbing her face with handkerchiefs, her tears seeming as fake as the love she claimed to have for him. I was there, 19 years old, devastated, holding our last picture together, him smiling proudly because I got accepted into the computer science program. He was the only person who believed in me. "Your dad left everything safe for you," she had assured me weeks before, when cancer was already eating him up. "The house, the insurance money, everything is in the will." I believed her. Big mistake. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like to get more stories like this. A week after the funeral, Christina called me over to talk about the future. Sitting at the kitchen table where I grew up, she was flipping through documents with perfectly painted nails. "Raphael, unfortunately your dad didn't leave anything specific for you. As his wife, I am the sole heir." Her voice had that fake compassion I knew so well. "But don't worry, you can keep living here while you study." Something was off. Really off. I asked to see the will and she hesitated before showing it to me. The document looked legitimate, but the signature, it wasn't my dad's. I would have recognized that signature anywhere in 15 years. "This is forged," I said, feeling my blood boil. Her smile evaporated. "Watch what you say, kid. I have 3 witnesses who can confirm its authenticity. 3 friends are of hers, obviously." I confronted her and demanded to see the original will that my dad had mentioned. Christina just laughed. "What will?" "Your dad was delirious in the end, overloaded with medications. Now, if you want to keep living in this house, you'll have to contribute to the expenses." I was paralyzed. In just a month, she went from the loving stepmother to a cold stranger who stole my future. My dad had worked his entire life to secure my education, and she simply took everything. That night, I went to my room and turned on my old computer. Between studying and working a part-time job at a diner, I barely had time to code, which was my true passion. Christina and her son Derek, who was 3 years younger than me, always mocked me when they saw me coding. "Here's the nerd with his computer games," Derek would tease, while Christina smiled in approval. "When are you going to get a real job like my Derek? He's already interning at Uncle's construction company." What they didn't know was that those games were small apps I was developing. Nothing huge yet, but every line of code took me further away from that house. 3 months after my dad's death, things became unbearable. Christina started charging rent, taking almost my entire diner paycheck. When I protested, the ultimatum came. "Your dad left debts, Raphael. I need to sell the house. You have 1 month to find another place." Debts? My dad? The most careful with money I ever knew? The lie was so blatant I didn't even try to argue. That very night, I grabbed my laptop, some clothes, and went to Michael's tiny apartment, my only friend from high school. "You can stay as long as you need," he said, squeezing my shoulder. With privacy for the first time, I immersed myself in programming like never before. By day, I delivered food, and at night I developed a financial management app for small businesses. The idea came from the stories my dad used to tell about his time as an accountant. For months later, I landed my first client, a flower shop that paid $500 for the system. It wasn't much, but it represented something bigger: independence. Soon 2 more clients followed, then 5. I started receiving remote job offers as a developer. A year after leaving my dad's house, I was already making enough to rent my own apartment. Michael helped me move, and we celebrated with pizza and cheap beer. "And your stepmother?" "I heard she sold the house," Michael asked. "She sold it for way less than it was worth," I replied. "But I'm gathering evidence. One day I'll prove that she forged that will." What Christina didn't realize was that I was just getting started. While she spent my inheritance, I was building my future quietly, line by line of code. 2 years passed since I left my dad's house with nothing but a laptop and a few clothes. The apartment I rented was nothing spectacular, one room with a combined living and kitchen area in an old downtown building, but it was mine. Every inch represented freedom. I hung framed prints of programming code on the walls, something Christina would never allow in her house. That Thursday morning, I received an email that would change everything. An American startup had bought my financial management app for $75,000. $75,000. I stared at the screen, unbelieving. I reread the contract 5 times before digitally signing it. With that money, I could finally hire a decent lawyer to investigate the forged will. I was celebrating with a fancy coffee when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered on impulse. Raphael, is that you? Christina's voice sounded strangely humble. I nearly choked. After 2 years of no contact, she was calling as if nothing had happened. I thought about hanging up, but curiosity won. What do you want, Christina? She sighed dramatically. I know we haven't talked in a long time, but something serious happened. Derek was in a car accident. My half-brother had never been anything but arrogant with me, but I didn't wish him harm. Is he okay? He's alive, thank God, but he'll need surgeries. The insurance doesn't cover everything, Anne. She paused on purpose. We're in a tough situation. There it was, the real reason for the call. It wasn't out of concern for me or remorse for stealing my inheritance. It was about money. How much do you need? I asked coldly. 20,000 reais to start. I know it's a lot, but you've always been good with computers, you must be doing well now, right? Her nerve left me speechless for a few seconds. She stole hundreds of thousands of reais of my inheritance, and now she was in front of me begging for money, as if I owed her something. As if I were family when it suited her. I'll think about it, I replied curtly before hanging up. That night I couldn't sleep. Not because of the request itself, but because of the hypocrisy. Christina sold my dad's house for almost 600,000 reais, not counting the life insurance and the savings. Where did all that money go in just 2 years? I decided to investigate. Through a friend who worked at a bank, I found out that Christina had opened a luxury clothing store at the city mall, an investment that devoured almost all of my inheritance. The establishment, however, was piling up astronomical debts due to disastrous management. The accident involving Derek was real, I confirmed it with the police, but it wasn't as severe as she described. He would need physiotherapy, not multiple surgeries. Another lie for emotional manipulation. The next day, I got another call from her. So, Raphael, have you thought about it? Derek is suffering. I took a deep breath. Christina, let's be honest. You stole my inheritance, forged my dad's will, and now you're asking for money. Silence on the other end. Then her voice changed completely. I don't know what you're talking about. Your dad legally left everything to me. And I thought I could help your brother in a tough time, but I see you've become a selfish person. Half-brother, I corrected. And you didn't call me for 2 years. You only remembered I existed because you needed money. Ingrate, she shouted. After everything I did for you. I hung up the phone. Minutes later, she sent a message, I will never ask for anything again. You'll regret abandoning your family when we needed you. Family. That word sounded like a joke coming from her. The following week, Christina started a smear campaign against me. She sent messages to everyone we knew, distant relatives, even former classmates, saying that I had turned my back on my injured brother and had become greedy and heartless. Some cousins called me questioning my attitude. Uncles who never cared about me suddenly had opinions on my family obligations. The lies grew, now Derek was between life and death, and I was rolling in money. The social pressure was suffocating. Michael was one of the few who stayed by my side. Man, you don't owe them anything. They stole your inheritance and now want more? For God's sake! Even though I knew he was right, the situation was consuming me. Developing software demands total focus, and with all this drama unfolding I couldn't concentrate. My work began to suffer. An important client cancelled their contract due to delays. That's when I received a legal notification. Christina was suing me, claiming that I had a financial obligation because Derek was my minor brother. The lawsuit was absurd from a legal standpoint. He was 18 and not my dependent, but I still needed a lawyer to defend me. I hired Dr. Mauricio, a family law specialist, and showed him all the evidence I had gathered about the forged will. "This changes everything," he said, adjusting his glasses as he looked over the documents. "We can not only beat her case, but also file one against her for forgery and embezzlement." In less than a week, Christina's lawsuit was dismissed, and we started our own legal action. The judge ordered the exhumation of the original will, kept at the notary office. The forensic report confirmed the signature was fake. Christina went into a panic. She began calling me non-stop, switching between threats and pleas. "We can settle this like family," she begged. "There's no need to involve the courts." I blocked her number. It was too late to settle as family. The case was ongoing when I received an unexpected email from a major American tech company. They wanted to hire me to develop a platform similar to my financial management app, but on a much larger scale. The offer was surreal, $12,000 a month for a 2-year contract. My life was finally getting back on track. I rented a small office and hired 2 junior programmers to help me. We were a tiny but efficient team. In 6 months, we were already billing 3 times the initial contract with extra projects. It was during this period that I came across something unexpected. While organizing old documents, I found a flash drive that my dad had given me weeks before he died. "Keep this," he said at the time. "It might come in handy someday." In the chaos of his death and everything that followed, I completely forgot about that item. I plugged it into my computer, curious. Inside there was a folder named for Raphael. I opened it with my heart pounding. It was a digital letter dated 3 days before his death. "Son, if you're reading this, it's because my suspicions have been confirmed. Christina has been acting strangely in the last few weeks, asking about the will and trying to persuade me to change the beneficiaries on my insurance. I left the true will with my friend Carlos from accounting, along with all the important deeds and documents. Don't trust anything she shows you. I love you, son. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you better." Tears streamed down my face as I read those words. My father knew. He tried to protect me until the very end. The next day, I went to see Carlos. He looked scared when he saw me. "Raphael? My God, finally! I tried to contact you after the funeral, but Christina said you'd moved without leaving an address. Then I heard you were suing her and thought it best to wait." He opened a safe in his office and pulled out a sealed envelope. Inside was my dad's original will, registered at the notary office, leaving 70% of all his assets to me and only 30% to Christina, with the explicit condition that the house must never be sold before I finished my education. "This changes everything in the case," Dr. Mauricio said when I showed him the new documents. "She not only forged a will, she sold properties she had no right to sell." When Christina found out about the new evidence, she showed up at my office unannounced. She was unrecognizable, with dark circles under her eyes, her hair unkempt, and wearing plain clothes. Nothing like the elegant and arrogant woman she used to be. "Raphael, please," she pleaded at the reception. "We need to talk." Things got out of hand. Reluctantly, I let her into my office. She collapsed into the chair in front of me. "The store is bankrupt," she confessed between sobs. "I lost everything. We're getting evicted from the apartment. Derek dropped out of college. We have nowhere to go." I looked at her without showing any emotion. "And what happened with the $600,000 from the sale of the house? And my dad's life insurance?" She lowered her eyes. "Investments that went wrong. The store, the debts, and Derek needed a new car, then there was the accident." I shook my head. It was exactly what I had imagined. They squandered my inheritance as if it were endless. "What do you want, Christina?" You're already being sued. You'll have to pay back everything, the value of the house, the insurance money, every cent with interest. Her red eyes met mine. Can we work out an installment plan? I can't pay it all at once. And where are you going to live? How are you going to survive? That's when she finally said what she came for. I thought that, maybe, we could go back to being family. You're doing so well now. We could work for you, help out with the business. I sat in silence, processing the audacity of her request. She wasn't just begging for money, she was asking for a job, a home, a second chance, all while not showing any real remorse for what she had done. Work for me? I repeated her words slowly, letting the absurdity of the request hang between us. Christina, you forged my dad's will, sold my house, spent my inheritance, and now you want me to hire you and Derek. She adjusted herself in the chair, trying to look dignified, a look that no longer matched her worn-out appearance. We're family, Raphael. Families make mistakes, but in the end we need to forgive each other. Family? The word came out bitterly. You kicked me out of the house when I was 19, left me without money or support. You spread lies about me to all our relatives. When did we ever act like family? Christina looked down, feigning remorse. We got confused after your dad died. I made the wrong decisions. And Derek is very sorry too. I almost laughed. Derek? The same Derek who broke my first laptop when I found out I'd been accepted into the computer science program while he got rejected? She seemed genuinely surprised. What are you talking about? Derek would never do that. Really? I opened the desk drawer and pulled out a flash drive. I have security camera recordings of your dad's home system showing Derek coming into my room and throwing my laptop down the stairs. Do you know how much that computer meant to me? It was a gift from my dad, bought with his overtime pay for months. Her face went pale. I didn't know. Of course you did. When I showed you the broken laptop, you said it was my own carelessness and refused to replace it. I had to work at the diner for 6 months to buy another one. Christina fell silent, her hands fidgeting over her worn-out purse. What else do you think I don't know, Christina? How about the phone conversations with the bank manager 2 days after your dad died, trying to transfer his money even before the estate was settled? Or how you hid the letters from the college offering me a full scholarship? Her eyes widened. How could you? My dad suspected you. That's why he installed cameras, kept documents with trusted friends, and created digital records. He knew you were only with him for the money. Christina dropped the victim act. Her face hardened into an expression I knew all too well, the real Christina, calculating and cold. You don't understand anything, ungrateful kid. Your dad was a mediocre man with a mediocre job. I wasted years by his side hoping our lives would get better. He deserved that money. Why? For pretending to love him while planning to steal everything after he died? She let out a dry laugh. What did you expect? That I'd take care of you like some doting mom? You're not even my son. Derek is. He deserved the best. And the best included a luxury car at 18, which he crashed while driving drunk. Designer clothes while you barely paid rent? Is that how you spent my inheritance? She looked away, but did not deny it. Her shoulders slumped in defeat. What are you going to do now? She asked in an almost inaudible tone. Throw us out on the street? I took a deep breath, holding back my anger. No, Christina. Unlike you, I'm not someone who gives shelter to anyone. The lawsuit is going to continue, and you will pay back every cent you stole from my dad, even if it takes the rest of your miserable life. Her eyes shone with renewed hope. And what about the job? Derek is smart, he can learn. No. My voice came out firmly. I never want to see either of you again. The agreement will be handled through our lawyers. When you're finished paying everything you owe, we'll go our separate ways forever. You're making a mistake, she said as she stood up. One day you'll need family. I already have a family, I replied calmly. People I chose who respect and support me. And that, Christina, is worth more than any blood tie. She left my office without looking back, carrying the weight of her own choices. That night, I went back to my new apartment at the spacious place with a view of the city park, and for the first time in years, I felt a deep sense of peace. The next day, I blocked Christina and Derek on all my devices and social media. It was the closure I needed. 3 months later, the case was settled with an agreement. Christina would sell the apartment she lived in to cover part of the debt and pay the rest in monthly installments over 5 years. Derek, I heard from mutual friends, moved to the countryside to work on an uncle's farm. I never had direct contact with either of them again. With the initial financial compensation, I bought a plot of land, not to build a house, but to create a technology center for low-income youth. A place where teenagers could learn programming, digital design, and other tech skills for free. I named the project Fundacaro Carlos Eduardo in honor of my dad. During the center's opening, while I watched dozens of youngsters exploring the new computers with the same excitement I had at 15, I felt a hand on my shoulder. "Your dad would be proud," said Carlos, my dad's old accountant friend. Really proud. I swallowed hard, moved by emotion. I hope so. I'm sure he would be, he smiled. Oh, I almost forgot. I brought something for you. He extended a small box. Inside was an old watch that I immediately recognized. It belonged to my grandfather, then passed on to my dad. He left it with me along with the documents. He said to give it to you when you have found your way. Carla squeezed my arm. I think that moment has finally arrived. I put the watch on my wrist, feeling the comforting weight of the true inheritance, not the money or properties, but values, memories, and genuine love. As the company grew, we expanded the center to other cities. I created a scholarship program for outstanding students, giving preference to young people who, like me, had faced family hardships. Every story of overcoming obstacles reminded me of my own journey. A year after the center's inauguration, I received an anonymous email. "You were right about everything. I'm sorry. Derek." I didn't reply. Some apologies come too late to deserve a response, but soon enough to bring peace. That same month, I met Juliana at a tech conference in Sao Paulo. She was a UX designer, smart and straightforward. Unlike the other women I met after the money came in, she wasn't easily impressed by status. "So you're the famous self-taught developer," she commented at our first meeting. "Your apps are good, but the interface could use some work." I laughed at her honesty. "Are you applying for the job?" "Maybe," she smiled. "Or maybe I'm just saying your empire needs a feminine touch." We started working together on a new project, a free financial education app for young people. The long nights of work turned into dinners, and then something deeper. With her, I finally understood that family isn't about sharing a last name, it's about sharing values. On our first anniversary, I took Juliana to visit my dad's grave. As we placed flowers, I shared all the stories I had never told about how he taught me to fix computers, how he saved up to buy me my first laptop, how he believed in my potential when no one else did. "He seems like an extraordinary man," said Juliana as she held my hand. "He was. And he would have loved you." I hesitated before continuing. In recent years, I lost faith in the idea of family. Christina and Derek showed me the worst: manipulation and deceit. "And what did you show me?" she asked softly. "That I was looking in the wrong place. That you can build a true family, not just inherit one." 6 months later, we moved in together to a house we designed, nothing ostentatious, but cozy and tech-friendly, with individual home offices for our projects. In the garden, I planted a tree in memory of my dad. Christina continued paying her debt on time, probably still fearing the legal consequences of another default. Occasionally, I heard news about her from mutual acquaintances. She was working as a sales clerk at a department store and living in a modest apartment. Derek went on to complete a technical course and started working at a mechanic's shop. Part of me hoped they had learned something from everything that happened. On a quiet Sunday afternoon, as I was sorting through old documents, I found a yellowed photo, me at 10 years old sitting beside my dad, both smiling in front of a disassembled computer on the table. In the background, he had written, "For Raphael, who one day will build things that change the world." I framed that photo and hung it in my office, next to the certificates and awards I had accumulated over the years. Of all my accomplishments, the most valuable was freedom, not just financial, but emotional freedom. Freedom from toxic expectations, parasitic relationships, and cycles of manipulation. When the Technology Center turned 5, we held a special ceremony. More than 200 young people had passed through our programs, many now attending prestigious universities or working at major companies. During my speech, I openly shared my story for the first time. I lost my material inheritance, I told the attentive crowd, but I discovered something even more valuable, the ability to build my own path. Each of you has that same power. It doesn't matter where you come from or who tried to hold you back. The future belongs to those who believe in their own talents. That night, when I went home with Juliana to our place, I felt a sense of completeness I never imagined possible after so much loss. My grandfather's watch still ticked on my wrist, reminding me that some inheritances can never be stolen: character, determination, and the ability to start over. In the end, Juliana said as we looked at the stars from our balcony, "Christina gave me an unintended gift." "What gift?" she asked curiously. "She showed me exactly the kind of person I never wanted to become." Sometimes the best teachers are those who point out exactly the wrong path, so you're forced to find the right one. Juliana smiled, resting her head on my shoulder. "So, considering everything, was it worth it?" I thought for a moment, looking at the garden we had planted together, the house we built, the life we chose. "Every second," I replied firmly. Because what I have now, what we built, is something no one will ever be able to take away. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like to get more stories like this.